Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Christine Rutner, and I'm part of the marketing organization here at Lightspeed. Thank you for joining us today. We're excited to spend time with you to go over Lightspeed Accounting and how it can help bring more control and visibility to your dealership financials. During today's session, we'll walk through some of the day-to-day workflows your team relies on. Along the way, we'll highlight how you can use standard and custom reports to better understand your dealership's financial performance. As we go through the presentation today, please feel free to submit questions using the Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen. Our Brian Tierney will be on board to answer all of the questions that you have today. Just a quick reminder, today's webinar is being recorded, so you'll be able to revisit the content and share it with others on your team following today's session. That webinar will be posted on our website under Webinars on Demand. With that, let's dive in and take a closer look at Lightspeed Accounting, and we'll turn it over to our presenter, Josh Farrell.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Christine. Welcome, everyone. For those of you who have maybe not seen my face before, my name is Josh Farrell. I'm one of the sales engineers here at Lightspeed. With that, I bring about 6 years worth of Lightspeed experience, but also 15 years working inside of dealerships, anything from being a detail lot porter all the way up to fixed ops and variable management. Today, we're going to cover a lot more than just software functionality. We're going to focus on dealership workflows and how the types of financial challenges that you run into every day can be solved with Lightspeed's accounting. So let's talk about what we're going to cover today. First, we'll go over audit history. This is going to help you understand exactly what changes were made in the system and by who. Second, we'll talk about sales categories, which play a big role in how inventory and financial accounts are structured inside of Lightspeed. We'll also take a peek at Lightspeed's reporting, including some key reports dealerships rely on daily for financial visibility. And then last, but certainly not least, we'll talk about the daily close and its best practices. It is one of the most important processes that some Lightspeed dealers that are on accounting now struggle with day to day. After that, we'll open it up for questions. So we'll start with the audit history. Now, one of the most important parts of any accounting system is transparency. Dealerships often, like yourselves, ask questions, and maybe you might have asked this today. Who changed this thing on this particular thing on a repair order? When was this part price adjusted? Why did the change happen in the first place? There is an audit history that comes into play inside of Lightspeed. We do have an audit history tool. It's in the systems menu. You may have visited it before, and it allows you to review system changes across multiple modules. Now, for individual modules, such as the repair order, we do have a repair order history tab. This will show you who added a part, who removed a part, maybe changed the labor line, maybe approved the work to be done. But not only that, inside the parts inventory tab, or inventory record, we do have a detail history tab. This is going to show you date, time, and user ID stamped who made changes to the part inventory record. This could be anything from receiving or those dreaded manual adjustments. Last but not least, that system-wide audit. We have the capability of seeing and filtering by module, the document type, the user, even a date range. One of the most important notes is that audit history is a part of Lightspeed and something that you can keep an eye on at your store. Now let's move to sales categories. Sales categories are one of the most important configurations when it comes to the tools inside of Lightspeed's accounting. They bridge the gap between operations and accounting. Sales categories determine which inventory accounts items belong to. For example, your parts inventory, maybe your major unit inventory, or maybe just your accessories or your merchandise. When an item is sold, the system knows, based off that sales category, which inventory account to reduce. We also track income and cost of good accounts. Because Lightspeed's accounting is automated, you're going to know, and the sales category will drive where the revenue is posted, where the cost of goods is posted, and which inventory item is reduced. Guys, we also give you the ability to set forth your tax categories. Taxes. Don't we all know it? They're important. Unfortunately or fortunately, whichever side of the spectrum you're on today. Our tax categories give you the ability to set inside the sales category and sale type what should be taxable, non-taxable, and we will also give you the ability to set a specific percentage. We don't want to call it a set it and forget it. I don't want to date myself, but like that convection oven back in the late 90s there. But our sales categories give you the ability to set forth what will happen in accounting the minute that the cashier button is set and allow you the opportunity to be able to review, not forget, but review Lightspeed's accounting. Now, we talked about reporting. We've talked about reporting a lot. Some of you might have been on a few of the reporting webinars that we've had so far this year. Thank you, Mr. Tierney, for carrying those out. If you haven't, don't forget we have those on our website and on YouTube. But reporting when it comes to the financial side of things. Guys, we have your prototypical accounts receivable aging account. We have an AP account, the accounts payable, the aging report. We also have a balance sheet. This is going to show you the assets, the liabilities, and the equity. We have a trial balance so that you can make sure that at any point in time throughout the month, it doesn't have to be at the end of the month, but at any point in time in the month, you're in balance. We have a profit and loss statement. This profit and loss statement is real live time. The minute that you hit the go button, again on that cashier button, because we have our sales categories, your profit and loss statement is up to date. Last but not least, we have general ledger schedule reports, which will break down the balances between general ledger accounts. We also have reconciliation reports, such as your AR reconciliation, AP, and your major unit reconciliation. Operational insight reports. Lightspeed also includes reports that help managers monitor department activity day to day, such as your parts invoice analysis report. That report will allow you to track where your parts department is tracking, but also, and not limited to, discounts. Some of you on the call today may be wondering where all of the gross is going in your parts department. That parts invoice analysis report will help you identify that. Warranty claims not paid. Now, I can't see your show of hands, but I would assume if I asked you all to show of hands, if you knew exactly where your warranty claims were today, probably one or two of you might know. Your warranty claims reporting, such as your warranty claim not paid details, report 642, will help your service department track outstanding warranty claims that haven't yet been paid, so that nothing slips through the cracks. There's nothing worse than doing work and not getting paid for it. Last but not least, when we're talking about the sales department, we need to talk about major units. Entering major units into inventory is one of the big struggles with dealerships today, and some of you are probably behind the camera nodding your head. We do have a report that will show you your major units with no invoice amount, right? So when you go into the major unit, you click the Update AP button, you're adding that invoice, that flowing invoice to the unit. This report will show you those that do not have one. It will flag them, especially the units that haven't been sold, so that you can record that invoice amount. Guys, the big takeaway here, Lightspeed gives you the opportunity to see both financial and operating reporting within a few clicks of a button. And again, because we have that automated accounting, it's real, it's lifetime. Now, let's move forward to the daily close. Now, some of you may absolutely 100% knock this out of the park. But as a previous trainer with Lightspeed, this was one of the items in which that I spent a lot of time training on, whether it was the first week of Go Live or maybe that second week of remote training. So the daily close is one of, again, the most important, but it's based off of consistency. So that we can ensure that we have the accurate financial data, we have clean reconciliations, and fewer of end of month surprises. I'm sure there are a few of you on the call today that love end of month surprises. So here are a few of the best recommended practices, right? Balance the cash drawer. Start by balancing all of the cash drawers or the tills to prepare the funds for the deposit. This will ensure that the physical cash matches the transactional record in the system. Resolve your management activity errors. Guys, we're going to jump into Lightspeed here in just a few so we can answer a few questions directly as well. But there's a little red light down in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. It flashes. If it's flashing, if there's a number by it, you have a management activity error. Please go in and review those. And don't forget, we're always here to support you. You can always reach out to support for help. Run your reconciliation reports. Your cashier reconciliation report is, I would put it in the top 5 most important reports to run daily. This is going to confirm that all payment types are correct. Your cash, your credit cards, your checks, any sort of accounts receivables, anything in which that you have that you've taken money in for, this is going to give you that opportunity to see that. Record your bank deposits. Now, this is a recommendation. This is not a requirement from Lightspeed, but we would recommend that you record your bank deposits daily. Once your cash totals are confirmed, deposits can be recorded and moved from cash on, remove the funds from the cash on hand to the bank account. Review your clearing accounts. This is something that gets missed a lot. Clearing accounts should be reviewed in the general ledger to ensure transactions are moved through properly. If you guys have things posting to a clearing account, chances are we need to go in and review that sales category. Any journal entries that you might have, now granted with Lightspeed's accounting and it being automated, we try to limit the amount of journal entries that you have to do. And then confirming again that those clearing accounts are back down to 0. Now, I'm going to jump into Lightspeed here for just a few moments. We're going to kind of talk about a few of those things just to point out exactly where some of the items that I brought up today were. The first is the audit report. So I'm going to go to System. I'm going to go down to our audit history. Now, this is going to show you and give you the ability to select your store. By the way, if you have multiple stores in the same database, you'll be able to click it from the drop down here. We can go into each individual module or we can run it for all. Guys, I can set my dates. I can go through any of this information and I can click the Find button, which is going to show me the events and the event detail below. Guys, just so you know, there is a document number here. It is hyperlinked so that you can jump directly into that said record in the event that you need. When we're talking about the audit history trail, remember we talked about inside the repair order, there is a history tab. So if I jump into a repair order, once this loads up here, we will look at the tabs across the top in the gray bar right here, history. Again, this will show you parts added, customer approvals, parts requested, parts sold to jobs. This is a great way to answer that question that we talked about in the beginning. And for lack of a better term, who done it, right? Where did it happen? When did it happen? Why did it happen? And again, when we're talking about inventory, I'll just pull up an inventory record here just so we can see that history. And again, all of this can be accessed again in the individual part record underneath the detail history. So we can see who changed what, who sold what, so on and so forth. Now, again, we talked about sales categories. I just want to show you a quick peek where those sales categories are: system, lists, and your sales categories. Now, for those of you that are on Lightspeed, which hopefully you are, but for those of you that are, your project manager probably helped you set these up, right? So in the event that you needed to go in and look at a category, all you would have to do is type in the category code or scroll through. Double click into the category itself. The first page is going to show you just the general information. We talked about the tax categories. Remember, this is what drives the sale type, right? Taxable, non-taxable, and then the category or the percentage in which that is being charged. And then this GL interface tab is where we can set the inventory account, our WIP account if we're utilizing that. And this is going to set the income and the cost of goods accounts across each department based off of sale type on the left-hand side. Now, again, sales categories are going to drive, and in the event that you wanted to know what transpired, let's just go ahead and let's go in and let's sell a part. Maybe some of you might know this exists. Maybe some of you don't. So I'm going to go through. I'm going to sell this part. I'll select cash as my method of payment today, which, by the way, I was in a demo the other day and I got asked this question, and I've often overlooked this, but yes, Lightspeed will show you the change due to the customer if you type in the amount tendered. So we'll cashier the invoice, guys. By the way, it will pop up and let you know this is the change that is due. But the reason why I sold that part is to go to management activity and management activities. Now, remember, we talked about this just a few moments ago. There is a red button down here in the lower right-hand portion of the screen. Ironically, we have two outstanding items today, but I want to just jump in and talk about the accounting transaction summary that happened on the part in which that we just sold. Again, just so I can understand why, who, where, what, based off of the sales category, we have an income account that's affected and a cost of goods and a sale account that is affected as well, as far as the inventory and an inventory account. So again, the accounting transaction summary will help you understand where that information is going. Across the top in the gray bar, just for the reporting review, just so you're aware, guys, we do have in receivables. Underneath reports is that AR aging report, along with being able to run your AR statements, payables, same thing of the sort. We also have a cash forecast and the register report, but I do want to talk about a few of the reports here. Underneath general ledger reports, we have the trial balance, we have the balance worksheet, and then we have the balance sheet itself. We also have that profit and loss statement that you would be able to run at any point in time throughout the day. We also have financial reports. Not sure if you're aware. I know Brian has talked about this in a couple of the webinars that he's done in reporting. We do have financial reports available for you, but I also want to talk about the DOC report just while we have you for just a few moments. If you're not reviewing this as a manager or maybe an owner of your dealership, I would highly recommend that you do so. Now, fun fact about me, I actually went to school to be an accountant. I thought selling cars was going to make me more money, so therefore I left the college and went and sold cars. Now, the reason why I tell you all of that is because there is a chart in the DOC report, but I prefer the data. And guys, whether you're looking at the daily, monthly, or yearly view, I'll just pull up the yearly view here. This is going to give you the ability to have an overview of what's happening inside your dealership and identify departments in which that are struggling. Now, with that being said, I would like to open up the time for questions. So if anybody has any questions, Brian, if you've got anything on the Q&A there, please let me know.
Yeah, I got a couple questions here, Josh. Maybe I'll just throw a couple out that I've seen come through the chat. One of which you may be getting to later on, so I may be kind of giving away the punchline here, but do you have an integration? Does Lightspeed offer an integration with any payroll companies?
Fantastic question. I'll bring Lightspeed back up for just a second, guys. There is actually a word up at the top in the gray bar that represents our payroll module. We actually do integrate with a company called ADP. The product is called ADP Payroll Plus. And if you are a Lightspeed accounting module dealership, you actually do have access to ADP Payroll Plus. And it's quite a bargain. We won't go into the details of the pricing. You can always reach out to your rep, but it is quite a bargain. And all the transactional data does push directly back into Lightspeed after you post your accounting.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Josh. And one other question that I have, and I get this question every now and then, is in some accounting offices, you have people that are dedicated to receivables, some to payables, some to payroll, and we may only want to allocate permissions to those users based on what they do for the business. Is it possible from a controller standpoint or a business owner standpoint, is it possible for me to allocate specific permissions to users based on what they do in the accounting modules?
Fantastic question. And the answer is yes. Our security does get very granular. So I will pull up a member of our team here. I'll pull up Alex, and we can go through. And guys, by the way, if you've never been into our security, maybe you don't have access to it, or maybe you should and you don't. This security system, the system functionality access, these words actually represent the words across the top in the gray bar. So for that example, for maybe payables, right? Maybe we don't want Alex to have access to payables because he's simply just the receivables person. I can actually uncheck that, but I could give him limited access. Maybe we want him to be able to utilize the parts packing slip portion of payables. So as you can see here, I check this one box. They will see the word payables, but when they click the drop down, they will only see parts packing slips. Fantastic question. Yes.
Awesome. We have another question that I'm just going to ask live. It's just come into the chat. And I might guide you through this one, Josh, because this one, I get this question every now and then. And to be honest, about 6 months ago, I probably couldn't have answered this on the fly. So I might be putting you on the spot. Somebody is asking, where in Lightspeed do I enter the goals per department? We might call these departmental targets.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've done this,
Sure.
and thank you for bringing this up, but it
Let me
has
guide
been
you
long
through it.
enough that I've forgotten how to
Sure.
do it.
So if
So,
you go
where
to
do we
General
go?
Ledger, top of your screen,
Yeah,
we're going to come down to lists and we're going to go to departments. And let's go ahead and select that screen and double click on any one of these. So before you do, just for those that are looking at this and wondering what the heck are we talking about here, notice on the left side of the screen there's some codes 10, 20, 30, 40, and those are plugged into your respective departments: new cars, new boats, used cars, used boats, service parts, and so on. But if you double click on one of those, Josh, underneath those high level definitions are my departmental targets, which is going to feed into some of the financial reports that we talked about a moment ago, specifically the doc report, which has gotten a few questions in the chat. So hopefully that gets you on
fantastic.
your way. Trina, I appreciate the question.
Oh, and hey, fun fact, I don't know if I mentioned this, and Brian, I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but the DOC report, the doc report is actually accessible through the mobile app. So
Absolutely.
for those owners, managers, department managers that might be on vacation, if you need to sneak away and check and see how the dealership's doing, you can just open up your mobile application and go to the DOC, and you can look at it from a daily or a monthly view.
Perfect. Perfect. So here's another question. I'm going to throw this one out there, and we might have to collaborate on this one too, Josh. But the quickest way to see profitability on a repair order screen, uh, specifically, is it visible on the repair order or is it visible in a report? And I'll just answer the question high level and say it's visible in a report. There are some things that can be seen on the repair order. Yes, they can also be seen in the mobile version of the repair order, and these are primarily revenue values, but we can't see margins in either environment. So in order to see profitability or margin, we've got to access a report. And Josh, if you don't mind, maybe go to service. Let's go down to custom reports. And every one of your databases is going to have a series of reports that live in service, custom reports, and repair order. Underneath these are going to be a series of reports that'll show you profitability for labor, profitability for parts, maybe a combination of a couple of those things if you've got some custom reports added to your library. But this would be where I would recommend you go. If you're kind of sifting through the library, you can search by, in the search term in the upper left side of the screen, the word margin, the word profitability. Chances are it's going to filter down to just the reports that give you that information. You can highlight a report on your screen, and you can also see a description on the bottom right that'll give you some high-level details as to what that report contains. A little bit of a sample of what it's going to look like before you run it. That's at the very bottom of the screen. And of course, if you've got time, well, I know time's a valuable commodity. Double click that report and run it, and chances are it's going to give you the detail you're looking for.
Great question, by the way. That is a fantastic question. So thank you.
Perfect. I've got a question about the payroll again. I know we talked about we integrate with ADP Payroll Plus. The question is, do we work with Payworks? And the answer is we do. We may have to take that question offline. So maybe, Christine, if you don't mind, maybe document the question there. We're going to follow up with that person on our Payworks integration. It's a little bit different than the ADP payroll integration, but nonetheless, it's an integration. So yes, we can help you there.
Okay.
Perfect. Let me throw up a couple more questions for you, Josh. There's quite a few. Back to the mobile app. Is there a plugin for the accounting side? We've already suggested there is. So back to that doc report button. The beautiful thing about that report is it's a real great summary to see from a revenue standpoint, how is the business doing? Your chart gives you some colorful pictures. I'm a little bit monkey brain, so I like colors and I like pictures. So I think it's fun to look at for that reason. But it's a great story, and it breaks it down by department. So new unit sales, used units, parts, service, F&I, rental, whatever my departmental breakdown is, gives you comparative numbers from last year, current values for this year, shows you where your target values are, which is what we talked about a moment ago, setting up those targets. But this visual that you see on your screen here is also something you can access from your mobile app. Best part about the mobile app is free. And if you're away from the business, you're just wondering how is business today on this busy Saturday, pull it up from your mobile app and you can see in real time what's going on. So pretty powerful stuff. Got another question, Josh. Actually, quite a few questions are coming into the list here, so
That's fantastic. We appreciate it.
I'm gonna need to kind of go through them. But one of the questions that was earlier in the list as we go through these is, I'm looking at my chart of accounts, and there's a lot of accounts on there that I don't use. In fact, they've had zero balances for years. And I understand that there's a way that I could delete those accounts, but I understand there's also a way that I can inactivate those accounts. Um, do you have a recommendation? Should I delete? Should I inactivate? What would be your suggestion? I'm going
Yeah,
to
my
recommend
suggestion,
inactivating.
yeah, do not delete. Do not delete. And I have it pulled up here. There is a button inside the details just below GL account is active. You could uncheck that and click the save button.
Perfect. And the reason why that I would recommend not deleting is there's a good chance that that account, yeah, you may not have used it. Maybe it hasn't had a balance in there ever, or it hasn't had a balance in years. If it's had a balance at any time in history, you've got to inactivate it. But nonetheless, you're not using it. There's a chance that that account may be plugged into something else in the business. If you do hit that delete button, you will get a warning that says this thing's plugged into a tax category, to a sales category. It's going to alert you if there's a challenge, but I would just say avoid using the delete button and just inactivate that account, make it kind of disappear. And that'll help to reduce some of the accounts that you're not using on your GL and make it a little bit more consumable for those that want a smaller list. Absolutely. Perfect. Well, let's see. I'm going to go through a couple of these other questions. I know we're getting close to our time here. Um, Questions about seeing who did certain things in the system. We did talk about the audit tool. Maybe if you wouldn't mind, Josh, let's show the folks on the call that audit tool.
Yeah,
When something happens in the business somewhere, parts, service, sales, accounting, if something happens in the business, is there a quick and easy way for me to find out the date stamp, the time stamp, and the whodunit stamp? Audit history search is a great place to go, and it will identify if somebody made a change, if somebody created a check, if somebody made an entry in a GL, did somebody change something in inventory or a labor line? This is a great place to kind of source what happened, and then the dreaded whodunit piece is there also. This might be a place to go for the question about changing items on a deal. If this isn't given some of that information, because it doesn't give everything, sadly, some of those things cannot be seen simply because when the record gets changed in the system, the Linux database records who made the last save. And if somebody makes a save after that last save, we tend to lose that last touch point. So it really kind of depends, but the majority of your audit history, the majority of the whodunit stuff will be found here. So hopefully that helps. Let's um let's look at one other report here, Josh. There's some questions about AP aging and invoicing that are coming due and balances. You may have talked about this, but I want to highlight one more thing here in payables. Let's go
yep,
down to reports and let's talk about our AP aging report. And this is a
absolutely.
great report that's I would add this to your month end repertoire. And you may already be doing that, in which case, great. If not, add this to your list of reports to run at the end of the month. Go ahead and generate the data. And what this report's really going to show, now we're looking at a detail version, mind you. In detail, we can change it to a summary over on the left side of the screen at the very top. I think of these drop-down menus as my dashboard selections in these dashboard style environments. But what we're looking at from a perspective of detail is if we kind of scroll down the report, we can see the invoice number, we can see the date it was created. Might have some context like the description. Is this ice cream cones that we received, or is this a boat that we received? So we're going to have an idea of what it is, plus the age of the balance and balance itself. And this is a really great guide for you to make sure that you're paying your bills on time and that something doesn't slip through the cracks, because plenty of things tend to slip through the cracks, and this is a great place to go. That's going to show what's due. Now, in terms of specifics, if there's a due date associated to invoices, let's go into one other place. Go up to payables real quickly for me, Josh. Let's go to the pay invoices screen. And if I want to see what's due today, now the assumption is that the person that created the invoice has inserted a due date. And it's possible they didn't, in which case we're going to miss some of this. But if there's a due date, I'm going to hit the select by criteria button, and it's going to allow me to then select a due date. That's the second one. And we'll just plug in today's date. You can check today at the very bottom of this window, and it's going to serve up everything that's due today or prior to today on this screen. And this is a great place to go, again, to make sure that things aren't slipping through the cracks. Not necessarily report data, but this is real-time actionable data that gets presented on your screen right here. So hopefully that helps answer the question. I know we probably went into a little bit more detail than maybe you were asking about, Caitlin, but we certainly appreciate that. There are a few other questions on here, and given the number of them, what I might like to do, Christine, is we might want to put these into a list, and then we can send off some answers as follow-up, because there's some really good questions, and I just don't know if we have time to answer all of them today. We certainly appreciate everybody's attendance, and we certainly appreciate the questions that came in. There is one last question I'll just answer here. Do we still only integrate with WorldPay for credit card processing? As of this moment, the answer is yes. But we're very excited to say that in the very short term, things are going to be a little different. So I'll just tease that out there to let you know that there's some things coming very soon that are going to change the landscape for that.
Sounds great. We will go ahead and get these additional questions that we did not have time to answer posted out on our website, and then you'll be able to access those answers. As always, if you have any questions or need assistance, you can always contact our technical support team. Josh has that number up on our screen. And again, thank you all so much for joining us today. We look forward to chatting with you again soon. Have a great rest of your week.
Thanks so
Take
much,
care.
everybody.